Hello. Hello.
Oh, I'm hearing myself back again. Let me mute myself in various places. Cool. Hi. Welcome. I'm Kevin. Hello. Known on the interwebs as Do Learning in most places. And today I'm going to be working on the Next.js and WordPress starter that Colby Fayok has been working on. And I've been doing a little bit of did not want to do that. I've been doing a bit of work on that. So that's gonna be cool, and that'll be some, I guess, whatchamacallit, some Hacktoberfest. That's what I wanted to say. That'll be some Hacktoberfest joy. Cool. So let me get started then. So my screen is too big for this window at the moment. Let me fix that. So Hacktober, Colby's working on a starter for people who are using WordPress as a headless CMS with Next, and I'm working on a course on helping people get set up with headless CMS, with using WordPress as a headless CMS. So it's kind of helpful for me as well to have a think about. And so let's check out what Colby's been doing. So we'll head over to his GitHub. I'll have a look at the issues. So this is Colby Fayok, Next WordPress starter. And we can see there's lots of fun things to be getting on with here. But if we hop over to the issues, second time I did that. I see a problem. That's silly. So yeah, so there's lots of things we've been working on getting. What have we worked on getting? We have been working on getting GraphQL built into this, because I think GraphQL in a headless WordPress setup is actually really cool. It actually is better supported in lots of ways than the REST API that comes natively out of the box. And so what I want to work on today is this piece here, which is to say that at the moment we're getting GraphQL, and then when we get the information, we get the information back as a series of like blobs, as HTML blobs, with all the HTML tags and all the HTML classes and everything else you would expect of just like complete HTML. And if we want to use that in our React application on the front end, then we need to do something which feels dangerous, called using dangerously set inner HTML. And the clue it's dangerous is that it's in the name. And so what we want to do is we want to kind of separate the content data from the styling and the markup, so that the consumer will be able to have responsibility for dealing with that markup. I think I've started this. So first of all, what I'm going to have to do is do some changes on the WordPress side, and this might end up actually just being a WordPress documentation issue, and then we'll need to think about how we can work that. So for my WordPress setup and needs, I'm using local, which comes from which is created by WP Engine, and I guess they have a slightly they expect something from it. They offer great hosting at the other end of it. Actually, it comes from Flywheel. I don't know what I'm talking about. Flywheel offer great hosting, and I think they're well set up for it. But their local tool's free, and it's really helpful. Because if you're working in an environment, if you're working in Windows, or if you're not doing a lot of PHP development like most JavaScript developers aren't, then this does a great job of setting up the PHP, the web server, and the database. Downloads right WordPress, and now I'm going to update. Oh, my ads are talking.
That doesn't mean to say that you're not doing it.
So I'm going to update the WordPress, which is cool. Again, that's one click. And there's just lots of things that are particularly handy with this. So I'd highly recommend this this local by WordPress, or by Flywheel rather. And so the nice thing it does is it maps the things generally. So yeah, last time I was playing with this was Colby. So you've got lots of sort of posts on here that we put in so that we could experience them and pull them out on the GraphQL layer. So this is my sample WordPress. I wonder, I think it is still updating. So, oh no, it has finished updating. Amazing. Cool. I don't know what that update did, but I like to stay up to date with WordPress. I think this is just Kevin, and this is all local, so this doesn't need to be secure. But yeah, it's Kevin. Cool. Cool. Let me go over here. Mr. Cunningham. Sometimes some of the things that I use are still set up from when I used to be a teacher, and so I used to be Mr. Cunningham rather than just Kevin or Do Learning. Nice. Cool. Okay, so what we've got set up here is this is a pretty vanilla WordPress experience, and the idea with running things headlessly is that we're not going to put much effort into styling this properly in WordPress. We're going to do all of the styling and the front end stuff. We're going to do that all in I can't decide where to look. We're going to do that all in the Gatsby or in Next or whatever front end you're going to use to consume this. So what do we have in terms of plugins? Let's have a look. We have advanced custom fields, which we're not using yet. We're not using this either. This is something I was playing with. I'm not using these other things. Are things there. I used Faker Press, and that was literally just to generate a whole load of that fake content and random posts and different types of content on there, which is cool. Which apparently is also ready for an update. That's nice. And then we have like we've got four things to do with GraphQL here. The main one, WP GraphQL, is allowing our data to be accessible by GraphQL. So if I go to egghead dnd.local and went to WP GraphQL, it's just GraphQL. Hey, it's GraphQL. It says, hey, your GraphQL must have a query or a query ID. Okay, so that means it's working, but let's actually get something useful out of it. So I'm going to use my client of choice, which is Insomnia, and I'm going to send a query. Ooh, I'm not quite sure how to do this. If I went for posts and ID, I'm guessing here. Must include. Oh, do I have to send it as JSONified malarkeys? Possibly. And you're saying that my JSON isn't. Maybe I need like that. I'm mostly sending these from a. Or maybe this is sent as a. I don't know how to do this from a REST client. That's interesting. Trying to send this now as a whole string. That'll be interesting. So at some point today, I might go and look at how to do this with So this is still complaining. Why are you complaining? Unexpected. On line 2. Maybe this just needs to be a. Actually, maybe I can get rid of the quotes and keep this like that. And I think that might have one too many. Oops. I'm going to stop in a second if this doesn't work. No. Okay. So. Okay, GraphQL is working. I'm not quite sure how to do that, but we have also this GraphQL layer installed, which is the lovely which is the lovely visual editor of what's going on. So here I've got post by slug, having fun on stream, and I want the author and the content. And that's whenever I hit play, it's going to query the GraphQL. It's going to get me that there. Now, will this give me a curl request, I wonder? It's giving me Gatsby output. I wonder, that's another thing I want to check, whether or not you can get that for other consumers, because at the moment it's just doing Gatsby, but I bet you can get it for other consumers. But cool. Okay, so we can see that that's linked up. But at the moment, let me just get, instead of doing post by, I'm just going to do post. And so I'm going to get every post. I don't care about the ID. And I want, say, the date, the content, that's the key thing, the title, and the slug, say. I mean, I imagine I'd build, hey, what have I done wrong? It says post. Oh yeah, I want nodes. Post. What's it say? Field post argument of ID type. Is it posts? Ah, it's posts. So, I guess post is looking for a specific post, but we're saying I want all the posts, so I'm going to go with posts. I'm going to say I want the content again. And in the post I want the nodes. So we kind of have like post is the general thing, and then each of the individual posts would be classed as a node in GraphQL. So for each of the nodes, I want the content, I want the date, I want the title, and I want the slug. And maybe the URI. I was doing some work with on another PR for this, and I realized that I was using the slug and the PR interchangeably. And I think in my implementation they are the same, but in Colby's they weren't. So you can see mine are pretty much the same. But in Colby and in some other WordPress instances, you have this as date. Like it has the slug has the date in it as well, 2010 as the date, year, month, day as part of it going on there. So here what you can see is what I was mentioning earlier. In the content block, I have like H6s, well-known header level. I have LIs, I have images that already have their alt text and their sources. There's lots of stuff in there that is kind of just blobbed together. And that's one of the things that the Gutenberg editor does, the WordPress graphical editor, which is great in lots of ways. But one of the problems is that it does this. And it expects the front end to parse it and to do something. Oh, look, my hands are disappearing. Expects the front end to do something with that and parse it. Excuse me. But what we want to do is we want to separate that. We want to communicate kind of what type of thing this is and maybe the information about that. So in Gutenberg, so if I go back and see one of these posts, let's say this one here. So this is made up of a whole load of different blocks. So if I click into them, you'll see that this block, this classic block, is the heading 6. That's where we're getting that heading 6 thing from. And then we're getting this information. This is a paragraph block. This is another heading 4. This is a paragraph block. And actually all of these are made up of, and then here we've got image and there. So we've got a whole load of choices for different blocks that Gutenberg can cope with. Image blocks, gallery blocks, audio blocks. And the reality is our user on our back end could drop in any of these blocks at the moment, and we would have to just deal with them the way they are. But what I want to do is I want to have, let me create a new post. Yes, leave. Because I want to have an example post here. So let's call this example post. So I want to know, I'm going to add in an image from a media library, I guess, of this person playing with their laptop. So we're going to image block and with a caption, hipster cafe working. Then maybe I'm going to want some paragraph text, and then I'm going to add some paragraphs in there. And then maybe I'll add another block, and this will be some code maybe. I'll maybe have let y equal 10, and then console log y. So, you know, real meaningful code here, right? So now I'm going to ignore that, and I'm going to publish this post. Publish. Cool. So so if I go back to my GraphQL editor here and see what that post looks like, let's see what we got. Should be the top one, right? Is it? Can't tell. There's something with hipster in there. Block quote. No, it was streaming with Colby. It's having fun on stream. This is, yeah, so this is the one. This is the one, this particular node. Okay, now if I go back into my query and I go to blocks and hit play again, it's going to ask me what I want for my blocks. So say I get my block name. So I've got my blob of content, fine, but then I've got this breakdown that my blob of content is made up of a core image, a core paragraph, and the core code. And that's kind of what we could have seen in what we had there. So that's cool. And can I get the content inside of each of those? Interesting. Okay. So I've got sort of my original content from that. I've got my original content from my code, which is a pre-block. Okay. What else can I get? The dynamic content normally comes back as null for these. Yeah, empty string. Okay. The order tells you what order they come out. They always come out in order anyway, but maybe that's a good one to have. Now, if instead I wanted to say, right, for my core paragraph block, and you can see I'm doing a spread operation on this, and say for that, can I have its original content? And at the moment, it's inheriting that. So I guess what we're getting here is slightly better, because we could say, right, okay, in a core image block, we would expect some kind of image. And you can see here, yeah, we've got an image with a source and an alt there. So we could have some kind of parsing on our client end to be able to cope with that. And that's pretty good in lots of ways. But what would be better is if that was completely separated. So I think, and I could be wrong about this, but I'm almost sure the only way we're going to be able to do this is by using another plugin called Advanced Custom Fields, or ACF, which will allow us to declare fields, their field types, and then be able to parse them in the way that we want to, in the way we're doing. So let me see what I can do about that. So I'm going to go to custom fields. I've already started. I'm going to get rid of this one because actually that's not something I want to do. I'm going to add a new field group. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, right, okay, I'm going to have what'll I have? A blog post, yeah? Okay. Now, my blog post is going to have a title image, or like a header image, head article image. I don't know. What do you reckon? I'm going to call it image. Decisions, eh? I'm going to call it the header image, right? And that's fine. And its field type is going to be image. There. And I'm not going to leave any instruction. You see, I've got this filter that I'm going to expose it into GraphQL, preview size, blah, blah, blah. And you can be really specific if you wanted it to. Okay, so that's my first field. I have my image. we're going to have title anyway, because we're getting title in a nice way from the title field, so that's okay. We've got our title, our image. What else do we need? Some content, I guess. Maybe a summary. Maybe like a excerpt type thing. Yeah, let's call it an excerpt, because that's kind of what you hear other people refer to those kinds of things as. So let's call it an excerpt, and that's going to be a text area. And we're going to do that in GraphQL, and that's going to be good. And then the actual space for the blog post. Oh, number 3. Let's call it content. And field name will be content. And this one I'm going to allow to be the WYSIWYG editor. And we'll see how that goes. Again, we're exposing it in GraphQL. And the bottom here, we've got this thing show in GraphQL. We do want to show it in GraphQL. And it says the name of the field group in the GraphQL scheme. And I normally just call this ACF because it's representing all the ACF fields. Okay, publish that. And have we said when this appears? This appears, is this for every location? Is this what I want? It says post type is equal to post. So this is for every post. Okay, cool. So let me go into posts and create a new post. And you can see now I've got this header image, excerpt, and content block, but I also have all of this stuff up here. I still have access to these blocks, and actually I don't think I want my editors to have those at the moment. I think I want to be quite strict about that. Yeah, Fabio, 1 out of 3. So at the moment, my editors can add in these blocks, and there's lots of them, as we said. You know, there's tons and tons that they could choose from, and I would need to deal with all of those. So I'm going to be a bit prescriptive and say they can only do header image, excerpt, and content for a blog post. I'm going to say yeah, and this content is rich, and they can drop stuff in there. And I think that's going to be okay for the moment, but I need to get rid of those. And to do that, I need to jump into the PHP. So let's do that. Let's pull up Emacs, and where do I want to go? This is egg, D&D. Cool. Now I'm just using one of the default templates, 2020. And what I want to do is I want to go into functions.php of my theme. And this comes all out of the box, and I want to there's a function that will allow specify which blocks you want to allow. So let me I'm going to look up the WP, the WordPress documentation. So WordPress, Gutenberg, allowed blocks, something like that. How to remove Gutenberg blocks. It's the block filters, maybe. How to enable. Okay, so let's see. So it's register block size, unregister. There should be something called allowed register. Is there allowed? How to remove certain default blocks? Allowed block type. So it's the add filter. Okay, so I'm going to steal this code snippet, and I'm going to put this somewhere in my code. I'm going to put it in here just for sake. So we want to add a filter, and for allowed block types, let's just call this do learning allowed block types. And so what this says to WordPress is, okay, you have all those block types. Which ones of those do you want to allow? And actually, I don't want to allow any of them. So I'm going to get rid of all of those, and I'll save that file. So if I go back to my my thingy here, so at the moment I've got all those blocks, and that's pretty cool. If I refresh this page, yes, reload the page, please. You see now that's gone because I'm not allowing any block in there. Now, what's cool about that is that later on we might decide that there's specific blocks we're going to allow to be present there. But for now, we're going to say nope. You're not allowed any blocks. What you gotta do, you gotta type in your title here. So this is my title, and then upload your header image here. So let's put the header image of whatever's going on in that picture. No idea. An excerpt. This is a really cool blog post. And our content, this is some really cool content. And then maybe I'll add some extra lipsum in there. Maybe, I don't know, I'll do like another one and maybe another one. Cool. So now I'm going to publish my brand new post and see what the difference is. Let's have a look. So back into GraphQL. So previously we had these block names. Let's get rid of this original content thing here. So let's have a look. What we got. So you can see here, the one I've just done, this is my title, this is what I've just done. Again, we can have this huge content blob of what's going on. And we have these blocks, but actually this one doesn't have any blocks. We're on to this next one. So is this the right one? This is my cool. Does it have cool in here somewhere? I'm starting to doubt this is the right one. Yeah, I'm sure this is my title. That was the last one, actually. Let me just go check what that one's called. This is my title. It's now live. Yay. Now I go back to the rest of my posts just to double check. This was called example post. And this is called this is my title. So the one that has a slug or URI to this. Okay, so this is one. Oh yeah, here we go. That's what it's problem. So this one has an empty blocks array. It has no blocks attached to it. It just has that content blob. So how can I then do what I was hoping to do, which is to separate the data out from the styling? Well, I called those fields ACF, and you can see the fields are here. There's the content field, there's the excerpt, and then there's the header image field. And the header image, I can get lots of different things because it's an image field. It was set up as an image field. There's lots of things I can get from it, but I guess the most important thing for me is the source set, and maybe the title, and probably is there an alt text div and alt text. Cool. And if I do that search now, to get my content, but here, really coolly, is I've got I've got my content, but I've got my, let's get rid of the content from the one level up, which has, let's get rid of that, and we'll see if that's a bit better. Cool. So now I've got this ACF content. Now I still have some HTML tags in here, but you can see actually what the HTML tags I have are P tags. So I could have a parser that took out those, or that parse those Ps. I can also change the WYSIWYG editor to, I can, in the same way I lock down the blocks for Gutenberg, I can lock down the like how the WYSIWYG editor, what it allows to happen, and then I can pick up the styling on my back end, on my front end rather, to work out how I want to parse that. We can see my excerpt is just plain text, so it's coming out as plain text. And then my image, I'm actually getting those things separate. The title, hey, a lovely alphanumeric title, who doesn't love those? My alt text, none set. Very naughty. And this source set, so the biggest, it's got a series of, you can see it's got a series of sizes, widths, and then the images to go. So this is going to be the biggest one because it has a huge screen. So let's see what that thing actually was. Oh, someone taking a cool photo. Okay, cool. So I guess this is actually not a starter thing. It's a, or maybe it is a documentation starter. So there's kind of, maybe my PR for this is actually about some documentation here. Hold on. I also installed this GraphQL Gutenberg. Let me see if I update that. I'm curious that if this might have done something. So let's see if it gives me anything extra on my Gutenberg blocks. So I'm not expecting any blocks from the top one. It should be an empty array, that's fine. But this one, see, I've got my content. Yeah, so even with the Gutenberg block, we still got the problem that we don't have access to the field content, which separate from the markup, which makes it frustrating. So yeah, so I think I am right. This is the way we go about it. So I'll leave it as a comment first. So I think that the only way to do this, separate content from markup, is to have is to use ACF, advanced custom fields, on the back end, and expose and query for the fields that are used. I'd also recommend, what do we say? Not allowing any other blocks, any Gutenberg blocks for now. Gutenberg blocks in the first instance. And again, it might be that over time you allow more Gutenberg blocks and expect their stylings. Expect, oh, hey, I'm going to get an image block and I know it's going to look like this, and you know there's things that are going on there. But for now, it might be just a good idea to do that. So this issue now is a documentation one issue, and maybe there is a version which just uses dangerously set inner HTML. Cool, so let's write some documentation. Who doesn't like to watch a stream about writing documentation? It's like the most fun ever. Okay. I know I'm going to want this code block at some point. And I want this to be, what do I want this to be in? Markdown? Yeah, let's do it Markdown. So let's do Markdown mode. Markdown mode. Ooh. Cool. And I know this is, oh, don't know what happened there, sorry. That one? Nope. That one. Yay. Okay. So I know I'm going to have this PHP code block somewhere. That's cool. So that needs to exclude all Gutenberg blocks. In your themes functions.php file, add this code. You need to namespace it basically, so maybe I'll call it next starter, all one word. Next starter. And as long as they're the same, it doesn't matter. So basically what this is saying is when WordPress asks what are my allowed block types, then we should look at this function, next starter allowed block types, to find out the answer. And next starter allowed block types just returned an empty array. So, and actually we can change that to use short array syntax, which is just like square brackets. Oop. Okay. Now, how would I do that if I was not, if I wasn't confident in the code? I think we can do it through the graphical interface. Let's see. If I go to themes, appearance, themes. This is the theme we're using. We go to customize. And this deals with lots of styling and other stuff, and we don't really care about that. We care about the code. I thought it's not in there. Just wondering if there's a way. Theme editor. So theme editor is giving us a warning. We say we understand, and then we're going to our functions.php. So somewhere. Theme functions. And that's where we've got that code that we wrote earlier. So that's where that's being pressed. Okay, so it's probably best to talk about that version rather than okay, so to get there, so in order to exclude Gutenberg blocks, got that in to add this code. So it's that bit in your themes function. It's basically want to describe how we sort that out. So to exclude all Gutenberg blocks, you'll need to add some custom code to your theme. In the WordPress dashboard, navigate to appearance. What was it? Appearance, theme editor. You'll get a warning here about changing these files. Don't worry, we know what we're doing. On the right, you'll see a list of the theme files. Click on or open your theme's function.php file. Open your theme functions file, which is functions.php. Scroll to the bottom and add this code. I've already written that, it's annoying. On the right, we see a list of the theme files. Open your theme functions file, functions.php, scroll to the bottom and add this code. I guess what you mightn't like if you're a JavaScript developer and you're maybe having to do this, it might look intimidating. Should I explain the code a bit? Probably. A few things, how to describe it. What's going on here? Yeah, let's what's going on here? So first of all, add filter is, let's put that in. Add filter is takes two arguments. The first add filter takes two arguments, and so it's kind of like the first is the where, so, and it should be like that. The first is where in the WordPress lifecycle, which WordPress actually calls loop, the loop, would you like to add the filter? And this is this can be lots of different things. It can be like if you're trying to ask for something, if you're trying to do something in particular. In this case, and we're asking when WordPress asks, hey, what are my allowed block types? And the second one is the second argument is what function answers or responds to that. My head's in the way now. Responds to that what thing? Responds to that lifecycle hook, lifecycle event. The first, so the function at the bottom. This probably isn't a header. This is probably, oh yeah, that's fine. And then the function at the bottom is namespaced, to Nick starter, but it could be anything as long as it matched the referenced value in the filter, the add filter block, in the add filter call. All this function does is return an empty array. In other words, we are allowing no Gutenberg blocks. Okay. To include all Gutenberg, okay. So that's what's the purpose of this whole thing? It's like a, it's like allowing word, exposing the data, the WordPress data without the markup. And there's a couple ways. So what do we want to do there? We want to add ACF plugin and create a custom field set. Exclude the Gutenberg blocks from rendering, and update the GraphQL calls. So so this is this should be 3, and then we do 2 update GraphQL calls. No, that's a lie. This is exclude the Gutenberg blocks. Add the ACF plugin. This is available. This is available from the WordPress plugin library. Create a custom field set. Actually, there's and expose it to GraphQL. I'm working on a course to explain that at the moment, actually, but I wonder if there's a good resource I could point people to at the moment. ACF GraphQL. There's something here. What we got here? Create your field grid the same way you normally would. Query. Nice. Time, performance, support. And hey, it looks, it works with all these. Super cool. Okay, so I will drop that into my documentation. And then there's like ACF getting started, like ACF getting started maybe. So yeah, we'll do there, add to there, create content. So down to, yeah. And then update the GraphQL calls. So this is supposed to be like a starter, but actually it requires WordPress to be set up to be a headless CMS first, which is kind of what I was expecting based on my my research for my headless WordPress course. So that's quite reassuring in some ways. Update the GraphQL calls. So let's get an example in here. Let's get rid of that. See if it works. So it'll look something like this. They might look something like this. This is. I wonder if I've got an interpreter for GraphQL. Possibly not. And what's going on here? We're still getting most of the fields, most of the meta fields, title, date, etc. But instead of getting content from the whole page, we that sentence is getting too long. Instead of getting content from the whole page, we are getting it for each ACF field specifically. So content. So in the content excerpt. Actually, I probably need the correct casing. Excerpt and header image are all fields in my post object. The first two are just text with some markup, with some minimal markup. The third I'm requesting is an image. The third is an image. For images, we are able to get more targeted information that our front end will need to consume. Okay. Well, this isn't brilliant. This isn't perfect by a long stretch of imagination. I'd probably put that there. Here is the project's documentation to help with getting up and running. When you have created your field set, you'll need to expose it. Oh, I think you also have to install WP GraphQL advanced custom fields. Let's see if I deactivate that. Does this stop working? Yeah. Okay, so you do need to install and activate WP GraphQL for advanced custom fields. Does that work now? Yeah, okay. Add the ACF plugin, to add the WPI plugin. Oh, I think that's available on. I'm just going to check. Some of these plugins are the people who are making them haven't quite decided that they're ready for mainstream production, and so they haven't put all of them in the plugin menu. So I just want to see if that one is available in the plugin menu. like it. GitHub repo is here. How do you do that? I guess it's like that. So what you do is you go to tags, latest release, and download the zip file. So go to tags, latest release, and zip file in the asset section at the bottom. Download that file. And then you go to add plugins, upload plugin, and choose file, install now. Go to plugins, add plugins, upload plugin, and upload the zip file. Then save and activate. To expose it to GraphQL. There are some instructions here. I normally call all, it's good practice. It's easier to call all of the ACF field groups to refer to all of the ACF field groups with the same name. I normally use ACF or ACF fields. This consistency helps with makes querying the data more straightforward. Cool. Alrighty, it's not great. We have some documentation. Exposing WPA without the markup. Blah, 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 blah. Video to follow, I guess. If I put in like a to do. Video to support this process. Cool. Great. Now okay, where am I going to put this? It makes sense for me to do I have the next starter? I do. Okay, cool. So we've got our README. Feel like we're going to need a docs folder. Yeah. So let's create a docs folder. And in that docs folder, let's create a new file called, what do we call that? Exposing data. I'm going to exposing data.md. What do I actually call it? Expose to without the markup. Okay. And then in the README, I want to reference it. There are some specific WordPress configuration. There is some specific WordPress configuration required to allow for the best use of the starter. I think that's where so exposing data without markup, and that's in docs exposing data.md. Okay, so let me add that, and let me add that. Adds the WordPress ACF GraphQL documentation. Okay. So I go to my version of this, which will have the new documentation up here. I'll just test that this works by clicking on it. Does it go to the right page? It does, and that seems to display okay, cool. And then I'll pull request this against Colby's. Create that pull request. Is there a way to link it to an issue? Can't see. Okay. This is related to issue 4. This is largely, this is documentation. As research suggests that the best way to do this is configuring the headless WordPress to expose the data in a consumable way. To test, try to run through the documentation yourself. Doesn't make sense. Where did you get confused? How could we make it better? Cool. So that is that. So what do we do? Well, we're looking at this pull request. It says currently we're using dangerously set inner HTML. And then we saw actually probably the best way to do that is going to be by using ACF fields and being able to work that way. So that's cool. Nice. I'm going to stop there and I'm going to write some other pieces of content now. If you're not aware, if you're not aware about Next.js and Next.js Conf, I'm going to be speaking at this. It's on the 27th of October. It's online, and I'm actually going to be speaking about how to migrate an Express API to a Next.js server routes. It's free register. Be cool to sign up and come along. And I think there's about 60,000 people coming so far. Hey, look, there he is. We're just talking about you. I've just PR to your repo, so hey. If you haven't signed up for this Next.js conf, then do. Colby just woke up. It's 1 a.m. It's my youngest. He was 6 today, so I've been awake since 4 because he was very excited about his birthday, and it's now 1 p.m. So I've been awake for a long time, but that's okay. But yeah, sign up for Next.js Conf. I'm putting out some content to explore that at the moment. So for like, why do you need a front-end application server, and what are they all about? So it's going to be cool. Should be fun. Yeah, thanks for coming and hanging out with your coffee, Colby, and Fabio. Thanks for hanging out. I'll catch you all soon. Bye.